Imagine sailing across the Atlantic in 1872 when you spot a ship drifting aimlessly on the horizon. As you get closer, something feels wrong. The sails are damaged, but the ship isn't sinking. No one is standing on deck. No one answers your signals. When your crew finally climbs aboard, they discover something impossible. The cargo is still there. The crew's personal belongings are untouched. Food and supplies remain on the ship, but every single person has vanished. No bodies, no signs of violence, no explanation. More than 150 years later, the mystery of the Mary Celeste remains one of history's greatest unsolved cases. It all began on November 7th, 1872, when the Mary Celeste left New York Harbor bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 experienced sailors. The ship carried over 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, a valuable but highly flammable cargo. Captain Briggs was known as an experienced and respected sailor. Nothing about the voyage suggested danger. For nearly a month, everything seemed normal. Then, silence. On December 5th, 1872, another merchant ship called the Dei Gracia spotted the Mary Celeste drifting alone near the Azores Islands. Captain David Morehouse noticed something unusual immediately. The ship wasn't following a normal course. Some sails were damaged, and no one appeared on deck. After repeated signals received no response, a boarding party was sent aboard. What they found shocked everyone. The ship was abandoned. The lifeboat was missing. The captain's navigation instruments, including the sextant and chronometer, were gone. But almost everything else remained exactly where it should have been. The cargo was still in the hold. The crew's clothing and valuables had been left behind. There were enough supplies to last for months. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no weapons scattered around. Nothing suggested piracy or murder. Even stranger, the last official logbook entry was dated November 25th, about 10 days before the ship was discovered. What happened during those missing days has never been explained. When investigators inspected the ship, they found a small amount of water in the bilge. While unusual, it wasn't enough to sink the vessel. The ship itself was still seaworthy and was successfully sailed to port after being found. So why would an experienced captain abandon a perfectly floating ship? That question has puzzled historians ever since. The first theory was piracy. At first glance, it sounded reasonable, but pirates usually stole valuables and cargo. Here, the expensive alcohol cargo remained untouched, along with the crew's personal possessions. There simply wasn't a motive. The next theory suggested mutiny. Could the crew have turned against Captain Briggs? Again, there was almost no evidence. Briggs was respected by his crew, and investigators found no signs of fighting or violence anywhere on board. Another idea focused on the cargo itself. Several barrels were later discovered to be empty. Experts believe some may have leaked alcohol vapors into the ship's hold. Since alcohol fumes can be highly explosive, Captain Briggs may have feared an explosion. Some researchers believe he ordered everyone into the lifeboat temporarily while the danger passed. If the lifeboat remained tied to the ship by a rope, a sudden gust of wind or rough seas could have snapped the line, leaving the crew drifting helplessly while the Mary Celeste sailed away without them. Many historians consider this one of the most believable explanations. Others point to weather. Although there was no evidence of a massive storm, sudden rough seas or a water spout may have convinced the captain that abandoning the ship was the safest option. If that decision was made in panic, it may have become fatal within minutes. Over the years, even stranger theories appeared. Some blamed sea monsters. Others claimed aliens had taken the crew. The Bermuda Triangle was even mentioned, despite the Mary Celeste never sailing anywhere near it. These stories captured the public's imagination, but have never been supported by evidence. One reason this mystery became so famous is because the facts leave just enough room for imagination. No survivors ever returned, no bodies were ever found, no final message was ever recovered. The Atlantic kept its secret. Even modern researchers continue to study the case, but no single explanation answers every question. Did Captain Briggs make one tragic decision? Did nature create a perfect disaster? Or is there one crucial piece of evidence that disappeared forever? We may never know. What we do know is this. The Mary Celeste wasn't a ghost ship because it was haunted. It became a ghost ship because 10 people vanished without leaving behind a single answer. And after more than a century and a half, the ocean still refuses to tell us why.